Hi everyone. I've been hearing some people ask for some step-by-step gameplay as to what exactly I'm thinking about or what I'm doing when I go through these runs. So this is a recent stream that I did. It was a plus 18 Dawnbreaker, and I figured we'd go through it. Um, Things that I'm learning from my own gameplay. I hold on to my Convoke a lot longer than I would like to. I could use it more offensively. I leave a lot of damage on the table with my cat weaving. I have a lot of room for improvement there. I tend to overlap my Skull Bash and my Incap Roar, which isn't ideal by any means. I mean, sometimes it works out, but a lot of times I just do it to get the buttons on cooldown, which is bad practice. I can do a lot better with my Treant management, especially you see that during the second boss. I could have made my life a lot easier. Um, yeah, and overall, I'm doing these reviews to help myself get better as well as help anyone out there that has any interest. So this is how I do Dawnbreaker on Resto Druid. This is I think I said this was a
Five,
plus 18 from
four,
a couple days ago.
three, two, one.
So I like to stun this mage right here. With the paladin, it's not necessarily needed, but I feel like it helps out. Though you do have to be very careful because when these first two tormenting rays go out, you can put yourself behind. So you want to make sure that you have hots on your team going into it. Other than that, I keep that as my main target so I can kick the night bolts. Um, this pull lasts a little bit longer than you would expect, so don't be afraid to use some of your CDs. I tend to convoke and trinket early. In terms of trinkets for this run, I had Celia's Secret Technique and Lumathar. The way that the Tormenting Ray works is it'll target two people and then it will switch to two different people on the next application. So normally I'll pre-Life Bloom whoever didn't get it the first time, if that makes sense. Again, normally here I'll target the mage and try and stealth in and stun it. Yep. I had plenty of time. I should have applied a rip and some more rapes, but I didn't. See, there's me swapping my life blooms to who I think is going to get it, and it was the Hunter and the Death Knight. This Death Knight Azrael from Mal'Ganis, shout out to him, he had great defensive use the entire run.
Do not use that item.
Getting pelted by bolts. I can't tell if that death was my fault. It looks like we had some bolters coming from the side where there were no ticks. Um, I probably could have helped a little bit, but I don't know if I would have been able to save him.
They've webbed the Dawnbreaker. Defeat them to break it free. They've got us surrounded. You'll need to use those mats of yours to fly to them.
So again, trying to stun the Shadow Mage if I can here. Focus him for your kicks. You really need to um, respect the bursting cocoons. So it's a good time to use Ironbark on a DPS when they get it if they don't have anything up. I do run Cenarian Ward, which provides a little bit of extra comfort. It really seems to help on the single target heals, or at least that's my perception. But again, when the Sureki Web Mage is casting it, that's a time where you can pre-apply your Life Bloom to whoever the target is. There I tried to shadow meld it to see if I could drop it before the cast went off. Um,
One more
I was thinking we
step
might
and
kill
you're
him
gonna
before I had to go on
die.
another person, but we didn't. But just hot up the warrior and we were fine. Another bad habit that I have that I've noticed is I fiddle around with my efflorescence too much, so I should probably stop doing that. For me, during that burst in cocoon, I bark skin and bear formed. I don't think I need to use both, but it's kind of just a good habit to send my defensives, or maybe it's a bad habit. I'm not certain yet. But I did make sure that I lived it, which was important. Whoops.
We have learned to embrace the dark.
So,
Be not
what's
afraid.
important to know on this
Live
boss
the
is there's a
light
couple of really
guides
important
thee.
overlaps. The first overlap is on the second Dispel, and then you also have another overlap when you come back from the intermission. So on this first beam, I try to make sure that I don't use any cooldowns and just kind of heal through all of the damage naturally. On higher keys, the Burning Shadows dot really hurts, so I try not to get locked out of my globals
Let
so I can
night be
dispel it instantly.
unending. Feel night's
So here comes the
embrace.
second Dispel, which goes right into a beam. That's a scary overlap. I always try to save my Lumathars for the second Dispel. But we heal through it, and it's feeling pretty comfortable right
Peer
now.
into the dark.
That was bad placement.
Shadows
I should have baited the puddle out of the group, but at the time I felt like we had so much room on the far side of the ship that the tank was just going to move us, which is what happened. Though still kind of like a misplay.
let night be unending. All shall be shadow.
Okay, good.
She's lost control of her magic. Get out of there.
So like I said at the start, when we
Five,
land, we're going to have to drop some
four,
puddles into
three,
another overlap,
two,
but I have
one.
lots of cooldowns available. I'll probably be able to Bark Skin and Convoke it, is what I think I would probably do.
Let's
I don't
peer
think I'm
into
gonna
the
trank it, but I don't know.
dark.
So this is
Feel
a good.
night's embrace.
And I was able to just heal through it without any cooldowns. And so I tagged the beam, and I hadn't done that all season. I thought it would have insta killed me, but it just put a
Shadows
decent
bless
dot on me.
thee.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Let night be unending.
That was bad play by my part.
Feel night's embrace. Let's peer into the dark.
One thing that you'll see me do is I like to use Nature's Swiftness in
Shadows
conjunction
bless
with my
thee.
Convoke the Spirits. It juices up all of the regrowths that are going to come out during it. Um, there is a trade-off in that
Let
it will not
night be
consume any clear
unending.
casting procs, so you don't get the extra symbiotic growths. But normally in a mythic environment, when I'm using it, I want the sort of more bursty throughput. It also gives you the option to cancel the cast into an instant juiced up regrowth in case you need an emergency heal. I had to send my bark skin or my iron bark on the warrior because he tagged the puddle as well. I'm surprised he didn't die, but yeah, we lived it. So it wasn't the cleanest boss, but in terms of healing and like doing the heal check portions of it, I think I did pretty good.
She's
So that was
lost control of her
huge.
magic. Get out of there.
So it's really good
Five,
recovery.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So don't screw up.
Find and defeat them, or we will have to face that commander.
When we're fighting this pack, as long as he takes the guys on the stairs too, I like to try and stay along the middle of the road going up to the middle of the stairs, so that way I don't pull any of the either of the two side packs. And it gives me room to dodge swirlies, although in this run I have a pretty bad misplay where I thought I was out of some swirlies, but it was clearly there on the rewatch.
Only the strongest survive.
There's no swirlies on the ground. Nope, they were there. You're just bad, but that's okay. It happens. It's only 2 deaths. Kind of weird that someone insta threw up the abandon, but it doesn't go through, fortunately. That dot does hurt, so it doesn't. It's not a bad idea to send Barkskin when you get it. I Barkskinned really late there, more as to help me out in the future. That was probably bad play. I should have. I should have Barkskinned when I got the dot. For this mini boss, right now I'm gonna target some of the casters. I think to try and get my interrupt out when I can. Yeah. But I like to target the mini boss. So when he casts the Abyssal Blast, that's a good time to pre-cast some of your hots. You can normally get your Life Bloom plus your Sun Ward or your Life Bloom and a Regrowth onto the target before any of the damage even goes out, and it sets you up at in a good spot with your mastery. Alright, so I need to watch. I need to watch the VOD back because I'm pretty sure I didn't see any swirlies. Yeah, when you have full hots on someone for the Abyssal Blast, you're feeling really good. It feels nice, especially with Scenario Ward.
Instead, you have weakened their commander.
I need to get better at using my interrupt in this pack. I don't because I play kind of defensive and scared. I want to make sure that everything is okay for this blast. Um, in terms of the thing to think about, normally this first Abyssal Blast going into the orb isn't the bad overlap. You're really worried about whoever gets the second Abyssal Blast. So there's going to be one coming out in a second. Yeah, it goes on to the Death Knight, fortunately. I didn't have to send my Iron Bark, but I did. Um, I didn't have enough time to think about who it was on, what defensives they had, and whether or not they were going to press it. I just try and get my Iron Bark out, on the second Abyssal Blast target before the orb goes out. Similarly, I try to use a charge of Nature Swiftness to top people up before that overlap happens with the blast application and the orb going off. So there you go, I'm pre-casting on the warrior to try and help him out there. He spell reflects it though, so it wasn't something that I really needed to worry about. No overlap there, so I didn't have to precast.
We've weakened the Nerubians' foothold on the town and their commander.
I tried to stealth, but was put in combat and I got stuck in bird form. Probably an ascend, yeah. The Tormenting Eruption, I think it's called, or it's that's the worst ability in this whole place. It really hurts. Yeah, Tormenting Ray. But it's just the type of thing where you try to prepare for it, and you see these when you have them, because that's why they're there. I do tend to hold on to my cooldowns longer than I should. Um, Oftentimes I should just send them. I'm running the talent that lets Tranquility reduce the cooldown of your other abilities. So I should probably press Trank more. I think I only press it maybe 3 times this whole dungeon. Um, but you do have to keep in mind what's coming up. The next pack does have a little bit of healing that has to go through. Um, Another thing I feel like I should do better is coordinating with my team at the start to see when we're going to use the AMZ on the Death Knight. Because knowing when that's coming, I might be able to save or use my cooldowns a little bit differently. But everything I do is in pugs, I don't have a team, so it's a lot of my play is more like reactionary than anything. Yeah, if I knew that AMZ was coming out, I probably would not have convoked, but I kind of have my own sort of set way on how I heal the encounters, regardless of what team I'm with. Again, another good spell reflect. This group that I was in was really great at using their defensives and pressing their buttons when they were supposed to. It made it was a really good group to heal. This Prot Paladin to a Miro on Frostmourne, I think it looks like, was doing a ton of spot healing. He was a great tank to play with. If you're like me and you play with the in-game sound for a lot of your Qs, the Shadow Decay on the Trash does 4 pulses, and the Shadow Decay on the Boss does 6 pulses. I normally count the pulses in my head as they're going out, so I know when the damage is almost done. I know you can see it on the cast bar, but I do a lot with audio cues, or they help me a lot, so. So for this boss, there is a nasty overlap to know about. I think it's like on the 5th or 6th orb. I try to only use healing cooldowns for Shadowy Decay, and I try to make sure that I have 2 cooldowns, if available, for the overlap. So we healed the first orb, we used a Convoke on the Shadowy Decay. Do I sell my trinket? I don't, but I do use my renewal. That was bad play by me. I sent a rip with 3 combo points. I just wanted to get dots on the target, but I could have saved it and been more efficient with my combo points. Alright, so here comes the big overlap. So I'll probably Trinket first, and then Convoke or Trank second. Hopefully I Convoke. Yep, so we were in good spot. So that was a scary one. In terms of timing, when that blue ring comes out or purple ring comes out around the tank, it's about a half second after that the orb goes off, so I use that as a time to bear form. Great, so we Trank and that puts our Convoke back off cooldown, so we have that available if we need it, but I don't think we're going to use it. One of the things that I try to keep in mind is what do I need for future encounters, and the next trash mob on the boat after this boss is one of the harder encounters, at least for me. So I try to see what cooldowns I'm going to have and save something if I think I can. So for that trash pack, I'm gonna have my trinket, so I didn't feel so bad about using my Convoke right there. I was looking for my tank to make sure he wasn't doing anything like out of the ordinary during the pull, so I was kind of flying in circles. So I need to get my Life Blooms out and my Sun Ward. So Life Bloom 2 DPS and Sun Ward a third person. I put the ward on myself because Death Knights have a lot of self healing. You can see he pre-used his Ice Blood Fortitude or whatever it's called, I think. So get on him. God, I hate that pull. Be really careful if you choose to Skull Bash on these packs. The Tormenting Beam or whatever it is that you can interrupt doesn't hurt too much, and if you end up getting the Tormenting Ray, you could blow up your teammates. I probably could have Nature Swiftnessed him. I did have a charge to save him, but he was just kind of standing on top of the tank and eating 2 of the circles. As a healer, I have this habit of thinking that every death is my fault, and I'm trying to get better about understanding that it's not always my fault. It's just mostly my fault. Yep, good. We had renewal and potion available.
What is that fresh horror?
Stressing. I'll probably innervate myself before the eruption goes out or whatever. Erosive spray. Let's see. Nope. Don't feel like you have to get the barrels. These dots hurt, so you really need to focus on healing and being able to cast. That being said, if a barrel spawns on me and I feel like if I'm feeling comfortable, I will grab it. Let the DPS do their DPS. No, I did end up using my innervate there.
Chase that monster from the Dawnbreaker.
I want to try and refresh my dots. Yeah,
Drive them
you
from
can,
town.
if you can get your dots on and refresh them,
The lamplighter's
let
blessing.
him tick down while he's flying. That's normally a good practice. Again, my damage is really poor. It's something I have to work on, but um, I play really defensive, and you can even see that in my talent build. So doing a pack in the intermission is a common sort of strategy that's been going on in hierarchies now. It's fine. I like it. It's time efficient. The one thing that is kind of annoying with it is he when he lands he starts to pulse a bunch of damage. Um, we can deal with it as Resto Druids pretty easily with hotting up the group. Um, and if you're not feeling super comfortable, you can use your Lumathars and you get a lot of mileage out of it, especially for the portion where you have to fly back to the arena. So as you may have noticed, I use the sort of default Blizzard UI for most of my stuff, and this boss always stresses me out because I never know when it's going to finish. I know he ends at like 60% health or something like that, and I don't have a percentage readout, so I just kind of play this boss until he flies away. This was, I think, the third or fourth try on a plus 18 that I've done for this dungeon, and what I noticed was the people that are taking these spinneret strands, it tends to hurt pretty bad. So if I'm able to, I try to precast a regrowth so that it applies to the target as soon as they get hit by the strand. It gives me a little bit of comfort. Um, that being said, I am running the Twin Leaf talent, so I have two charges of Nature Swiftness to sort of play around with. I was surprised that we had three Battle Res charges available. Uh, I don't think the timer could have sustained that many deaths, but there we go. See the target, swap my life blooms. Nature Swiftness, the warrior. It's good. You can see I clicked my Nature Swiftness down there. I do have a keybound. That is a macro on the bottom where it does a couple things. It starts with cancel form, Then it uses Nature's Vigil, I think it's called, the one that gives me damage from my direct healing, and casts the Nature Swiftness. So yeah, Cancel Form, Nature's Vigil, Nature Swiftness, and I use that a lot of times before I Convoke, to make sure I don't hit my Convoke keybind when I'm in like cat form or something. It's sort of just like a safety mechanism. But there you go. That was my 18 Dawnbreaker. Um, yeah, I'd never done VOD reviews until this season, so I feel like I get some stuff out of it, and hopefully you did too. But yeah, if you find this stuff interesting or helpful, that's awesome. I'll try and put some more out going into midnight. But yeah, feel free to like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll be seeing some more.